Hi everyone, I'm Tracy, Movement and Alignment Guide, and today is my first video in a series on how to improve balance. And I wanted to do this series because having good balance is really important, not only to avoid falling, which of course can lead to many other issues, but because when we have really good balance, it has many other benefits. When we have good balance, we need to align all of the joints of our spine and through the body really correctly so there's good stress happening through them and we can build up good bone density. When we have poor alignment and possibly poor balance, it can be causing uneven wear and tear on the joints, unnecessary stress, and that can lead to degenerative issues like arthritis. Okay, so when we have good stress through our body, good balance, we're setting ourselves up for good bone density for the rest of our life. Also, in order to have good balance, we need to be recruiting our deep postural core stabilizing muscles. And this is really helpful not only to have healthy ankles, knees, hips, and spine, but also because when we have good postural stability, we're going to have better performance in all of the activities that we do, golfing, cycling, running, and even in our daily activities, picking up children, gardening, what have you, through our whole lives. So there's many benefits to working on our balance. Now in this series, we're going to do today some basic exercises just to wake up our idea of how to start working on our balance. And then through the series of videos, we'll dive in even deeper to strengthen specific places through the feet, through the knees, through the hips, through the core, in order to improve your balance, but also to improve your performance with everything. I do have many videos as well on my website, tracyreneestafford.com, that focus on how to lengthen and strengthen from the inside out and just good tips for healthy body and mind. Okay, so today we're going to be doing these standing. So you may need to have a support, especially if balance is a challenge for you. So feel free to be near a wall or near a table or a counter and use that as a support. And also having your feet a little wider can be helpful for your balance. But I'm going to have my feet more underneath my hips. For this first exercise, we're going to be rising up onto the toes. So if you do have any foot issues like arthritis or nerve impingement, you want to be gentle, or you may need to skip this first exercise and just wait for the second one. Okay? For this first exercise, I want you to start off standing up really tall with all 10 toes pointing straight ahead. Imagine a heavy weight on your tailbone going straight down and a string up through the crown of your head so you're aligned as best you can. We want to avoid rocking back and forth, so feeling your weight right in the center. And as you breathe in, lift all 10 toes off the floor. I'm using my hands to show what I'm doing with my toes, but you don't need to do that. Okay, so you lift all 10 toes without rocking back, and then exhaling as you push into your toes and rise up. Okay, and again, inhaling as you lower your heels and lift all 10 toes, and exhaling as you press into them and lift your heels. And inhaling to lower. We just want to check and see where our balance is without a lot of explanation. Okay, just so you can get a good baseline, and we'll go into more detail in a moment. Okay, so inhaling to lift your toes and spread them, and exhaling to rise up. Okay, and then lower your heels down. So that gives us an idea of where we're at. Okay, our second exercise is we're going to be balancing on one leg. So if you can put all your weight onto your right leg, and as you exhale, lift your left foot off the floor, lifting the knee up. And inhale to lower, and then shift all your weight to your left leg and lift the right leg up. It doesn't matter how high you lift the knee. Okay, inhaling to lower, we'll just try one more onto each side. Exhaling to lift again. We're just seeing where we're at with the balance. And inhaling to lower, and exhaling to lift. Okay, so land back down. So now we're going to go deeper into our postural muscles, wake them up, and then we'll try these exercises again and see if they've had some effect. So we're going to start off right at the feet. You want to have your weight on all four corners of your foot. And the four corners are the inner heel and the outer heel, and the big toe mound and the baby toe mound. So by the toe mound, I mean on the ball of the foot, on the metatarsal, and not the toes themselves. The toes should be able to lift and move freely. We only use them for finely tuning our balance. We have the weight on the big toe and the baby toe mound. Okay, so our weight is on all four corners evenly. We're not rolling out or in. Then moving up, we want to pull up evenly through the inner and the outer ankle. So there are muscles that start right underneath the foot that pull up through the inner and the outer ankle like a stirrup. If you remember back in the 80s when stirrup pants were in fashion, okay, like that. We want to pull the inner and the outer ankle up, because commonly when we're rising up onto the toes, the ankles like to go out. Okay, so you want to pull up evenly through the inner and the outer ankle, and this can be helpful to imagine that you have a ball in the inner ankles. Okay, this feeling of pulling up the inner and the outer ankle, we're going to continue it all the way up the leg, pulling up the inner and the outer thigh. And this can have the feeling of the inner and the outer thigh muscles hugging in towards the bones. Okay, so we're not going to grip or clench the muscles. It's more subtle than that. A feeling of narrowing the inner and the outer thigh muscles in towards the bones. Okay? Then we want to pull up our kneecaps by pulling up the muscles in the front of the thighs, the quadriceps. So I don't want you to be pushing your knee backwards into hyperextension. I do want you to be able to straighten your leg by pulling up the kneecap using your quadriceps in the front of the thighs. And I do have a particular video on my website that focuses on strengthening the knees by using these muscles. That's really helpful. Okay, moving up, we go to the pelvis, and we want the pelvis to be level right to left, so one hip is not higher than the other. We want to have it even side to side, so one hip is not more forward than the other. Okay, so both hips pointing forward. And we want to have the pelvis level front to back. Okay, so we don't want the pelvis to be tipping back or tipping forward. We want to feel like the tailbone is pointing straight down, and that the hip bones and the pubic bone are level to each other. So we're drawing the abdominal muscles in for that. And again, I have a video on my website that focuses a little bit more on that component of the core that you can check out. Through the spine, we want to lengthen up through the spine, a feeling of a string pulling up through the crown of the head. Okay, so all of that is kind of subtle to engage these deep postural core muscles, but it's really vital. So let's just try that without the balance. Okay, so have your weight on all four corners of your feet. The toes are spread and relaxed. Then have the feeling of pulling up through your inner and your outer ankles. Carry that all the way up through the inner and the outer thighs, hugging the muscles in without clenching. Pull up through the front of the thighs, so pulling the kneecaps up and drawing the abdominals in so the tailbone can point straight down to the floor, reaching up through the crown of the head, through the spine to line it up. And just noticing the feeling of these deep postural muscles hugging in towards the bones, and then relax it. Okay, so you can feel the difference. It's subtle, but it's there and it's important. So let's try that again, and then we'll add the balance. So your weight is on the four corners of your feet, toes spread and relaxed. Pull up through the inner and the outer ankles. Go all the way up through the inner and the outer thighs, hugging the muscles in towards the bones. Draw the kneecaps up. Draw the tailbone down, the abdominals in, and lengthen up through the spine. And then keep that as we go into the balance. So again, use the support on the wall or the table if you need to. And as you breathe in, lift all 10 toes and spread them without rocking backwards. And breathe out as you press into your toes and rise up. And again, inhale to slowly lower, lift all 10 toes and spread them. And exhaling as you're rising up. And 2 more times, inhaling, feeling the ankles hug in. Exhaling, feeling the abdominals draw in. And 1 more time, inhaling, feeling the string out through the crown of the head. And exhaling as you're rising up. And slowly lower, and then we'll go into our next one. Now I will say that it's really common when you're lifting one leg up to lift the hip. Okay, so we want to try and keep the hip bones level. And also it's common when you're lifting one leg up to let the other hip stick out to the side. So that is really the part of the engaging the inner and the outer thigh, especially the outer thigh and the outer hip muscles, to keep your pelvis really level. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind. Okay, so again, use your support if you need to. You're going to put all your weight onto your right foot, onto all 4 corners, and as you exhale, float the knee up, keeping the pelvis level, and inhaling to lower. And put all your weight onto your left leg, hug the inner and the outer thigh in, and inhaling to lower. We'll just try that 1 more time on each side. So feeling your toes spread, feeling all 4 corners, and inhaling to lower. That's it. Doesn't matter how high the knee lifts, we want to keep the pelvis really level. And inhaling to lower. Good. Okay, so that's just a start to begin to get a sense of where your balance is at and start to wake up those deeper muscles. And as I say, in the future videos, we'll dive in even deeper to strengthen our ankles, our knees, our hips, our core, our spine, so we can have better balance, so we can have better movement, more power through our day, through all of our activities that we're doing. So I hope that was interesting and useful and fun. Take care. Be well. Thank you.